Hi, today marks the 1 month of me owning the Model Y, and I would like to share with you some of my dislikes and some of things that I really like about this car. And of course, with this sharing, I hope that it will help you to think about whether to get a Tesla or not, right? But at the same time, I just want to share with you the beauty of this car, and of course the downside of this car as well, right? So the first thing that I dislike actually is the air condition in this car. It's actually quite hard to adjust because the adjustment has to be done on the screen, right? Controlling from the screen is actually quite dangerous in my opinion while you are driving. So it's actually quite challenging that you have to adjust the air condition while you are driving. Like for example, at this point of time, I'm trying to adjust to blow towards my face. It's actually quite challenging because I have to, touch here, touch there, and things like that. So it kind of compared to your traditional air conditioner where you have all the vents and little thing here, shifting here and there, and then at the same time blowing at your face, or you don't want it to blow at your face. Those are the options that you can have that traditional air condition can give you. All right, but for this car, somehow the blowing vent don't seems to be as accurate as what it shows. It's like if I want to blow it to my face, I have to push it all the way up. So in a way that the vents are actually not your typical traditional way, right? So it's actually quite it takes a while to get used to the aircon. So that's one. Second thing is it's actually not as strong as what you think it will be. When you full blast your car, you can actually hear the fan blowing really loud. And for example, I can max out now. So this is how loud the aircon is at maximum. But of course, it's blowing, so it kind of cool the car down. But most of the time you only just want it to have it at level 6 or 7 where it is softer. It doesn't affect your driving, or at least it's not so noisy, right? And sadly, even if it's at the strongest, actually it's not as strong as what you have in a traditional car where they actually blow right in your face and you can actually feel you feel cool down faster and things like that. But for this, it actually doesn't really cool down as fast, right? So that's the air condition. I believe it can be improved, but it is what it is because it has been like this kind of design for quite the longest time. So Tesla will probably be improving the next time. I don't know. Hopefully the new version you will have a better air conditioner vent and more controllable buttons, but that is not Tesla design style, so unlikely you will see any buttons and things like that. So the next thing that I want to talk about is actually the camera sensor. All right, ever since 2023 model, they removed the sensor the sensor from the car itself and convert everything to camera based. The thing about the camera is that what I don't like is that during parking, right, it doesn't tell you the proximity. It doesn't give you much warning on the proximity, on how close you are to the car in front of you or the car behind you, right? So basically they just base on the distance from the image to see how close you are, and then they'll just tell you to stop. It doesn't beep like your traditional car where you're still using the sensor where you beep 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 beep, you're too close. It means that you need to stop, right? But for this car, it doesn't have that kind of warning. Okay, so it actually can be a little dangerous if you are not aware of how big your car is. So you need to actually pay more attention in your driving, especially for Tesla Model Y. It's actually wider and actually longer than it took me a while to get used to the driving and the parking as well. Now, the other thing I would like to talk about is actually the autopilot. In Singapore, we only have autopilot. We do not have full self-driving, which is the FSD. You can purchase the FSD from the app, but a lot of the functions are not activated because it is not LTA approved, and therefore it's a waste of money paying it and not being able to use it, right? Even though it's a one-time payment, but the chance of you selling the car is high, because after you sell off the car, you don't get back that function because it goes with the car, right? So there's no point paying for the extra $5,800 to $10,000 to have those features, right? Currently what we have is the autopilot, which actually keeps your car in the lane, right? At this point in time, if you have subscribed to the enhanced autopilot, it will be able to help you to change lane. And of course, if I'm not wrong, it also help you to do auto parking. Not all places work. So the other thing about autopilot, I don't really like, and I think Tesla need to improve, or at least for the situation in Singapore, is that whenever there's heavy traffic on the highway, I try to use it on the highway, because whenever there's jam, I rather have the autopilot take over, and then you have a bit more relaxing drive and things like that. However, when you have a busy road, and if one motorbike were to cut across this way or this way, all right, it seems like the car thinks that the motorbike is trying to cut into your lane, and you will perform an emergency brake. All right, of course, it's not a full stop, but it actually slows down from, like, let's say 80 to 50, which is quite a drastic stop, or rather, it's quite a drastic slowdown in terms of speed, and that can cause an accident. The car behind you can actually knock onto you and then cause an accident. So I personally feel that it's quite dangerous. So that's something that you need to take note when you want to use the autopilot during the peak hour. In other countries, lane splitting is illegal, but here it's not. If I'm not wrong, it's not. It's because it's actually part of a defensive maneuver for the motorcyclists. In case they have to swerve, they have to cut into in between two cars, and then they just go off. So that's called lane splitting, right? So that is something that the car can actually take note of. So the other thing that I wasn't very satisfied is that, you know how when you plot the location that you want to go, especially for Tesla supercharger, you'll precondition your battery for you before you reach arrival, right? And then when you plot the address or location, it will tell you how many Tesla supercharger is available and how many is being used. Therefore, you can make a prompt decision whether to go to this location to charge or to go to another location to charge. That do not apply to destination charger. Destination charger, it's actually free electricity, or rather free charging by Tesla, but of course you have to pay for your parking. Most of the destination charger is actually located in the hotels or shopping malls, and most of the time is fully taken because people, it's free electricity, right? So that's where people will utilize it as much as possible, and then you get to charge it for free, right? So that's the downside, that I feel that you won't be able to find out whether is it worth your while to actually go and try for a destination charger. So it's a bit of a hit and miss kind of thing. It's a bit of luck. So you do have to take note, like going to non-peak period. I think the worst timing is actually on the weekend, where it's not a working day. They're very likely that everyone will go and use the destination charger. Something that it's a bit hit and miss. So I would say try your luck. Yeah, but it's worthwhile because it's free electricity, it's free charging, so that's the beauty about it. This car really has a lot of features. Okay, this car really comes packed with a lot of features that I really enjoy a lot. So the autopilot that is given free is actually quite unique. I mean, this is my first time using a autopilot, right? So it does really help you to keep you to relax a little bit while you're driving, and not so intense, especially for the long drive. I use it on the short Malaysia trip to a 1 hour drive up north, and it actually helps me a lot because the whole 1 hour drive, I don't feel as tired as I should be. So the autopilot actually quite useful, except the part that I mentioned about the motorcyclist cutting across you. It will cause a little panic. The other thing that I really love about this car is, I think, because of the instant power. The moment you step on the accelerator, the power output into the motor is instant, and you can actually get out of situation fast. It really gives you that instant torque to the car, and then you feel the adrenaline actually. And that is something really powerful, and that's something that you can't do with your 1.6 liter car or even a 2 liter car. Alright, likely you have to drive a 3 point something liter or 4 liter car that can give you this kind of instant torque, even if there is some form of delay, right? But for electric, it's instant. To the driver's seat and the passenger seat, or at least front passenger seat, both are electronic chairs, so they can actually move forward, lean back, or adjust electronically. And I think the interesting part I like about the chair is actually the lumbar support. The lumbar support actually has quite a big range, which I can feel that it really supports my lumbar a lot. While compared to my previous car, the electronic lumbar support only can reach a certain range where I do not feel the support at all. But this actually gives a nice lumbar support to me while me having a long drive, right? So in fact, this car makes me a lot more comfortable, a lot more comfortable driving in. Yeah. Speaking of which, one thing I noticed that it happens for this 1 month is that I am driving really a lot, right? I think I really enjoy the car a lot, and because it's an EV, everything is smooth, everything is quiet, you know, and the whole idea is that it's cheap electricity at this point of time, so your per kilometer is really cheap. As of now, based on my calculation, my per kilometer is actually 10 cents per kilometer. That is really low. Around Singapore, you probably take about 14 to 15 kilometers to reach the place, depending on where you are. So that will cost you $1 something just to reach that place. So EV is definitely the way to go now. Now, going back to the camera, because I spoke about the downside of the camera, but at the same time, there's the upside of the camera, which is that it records everything whenever you have any form of danger. So the camera actually will record any incident the moment upon impact, when you press the horn, or you can have the shortcut key on your cursor here, where you press a button, it will record the last 10 minutes of your trip. You can actually retrieve that footage, and I believe that it will actually save you a lot of trouble where you compare to the traditional dash cam, where you have to take out the SD card and then put it in to a thumb drive or a adapter and then put it in the computer, then just to retrieve. So the steps is a little more extra. While this, you can actually view the incident right in your screen here. You probably want to see whether is it worthwhile to keep it or to delete it, right? So that is something that is really interesting. The thing about this camera is that it doesn't record 24/7. So if you really want something that can do your traditional dash cam, that is something that you need to install, putting an extra camera right in front, right? So just to record 24/7. But do take note that 24/7 does take up your power as well. But of course, not as much, it's because it's connected to your 12-volt batteries, right? So that is something that you can do if you want to. Next, after 1 month of charging, I really love the Tesla Supercharger. The Supercharger is actually rated as 250 kilowatt per hour, but of course this car doesn't allow me to charge at 250. This car only allows me to charge maximum at 170 kilowatt, and of course it's until a certain percentage, and then you will start dropping, because it can't charge at full rate all the time because it can damage the battery. But trust the system that it will protect the battery and it will be fast charging. Overall charging from 20 to about 80 took me about 25 minutes to 30 most of the time. And the Supercharger, it's really fast and it's really efficient. And the best part of it, Tesla Supercharger, it's all using renewable energy. If you want to talk about sustainability and things like that, so do your best. If you want to talk about sustainability and you want your car energy to be as green as possible, try to use your Tesla Supercharger, right? Unless yours at home, you have a solar charger that is free energy and that's clean energy. that's the perfect ways to charge the car. Now to a non-car topic, which is Tesla service center. I had to send my car twice in for a small problem. It's actually a same problem, just that it came back again. So the problem is actually having a squeaky driver's seat. So whenever I move back and forward, there's a squeaky sound, and that really annoys me a lot, right? So I decided to just request for a service and send it in, and it took half a day to actually repair it. So the first time they actually removed the rail, the seat rails, and they changed it to a new one, and it was really fantastic because the agent was worried that I have other things to do and things like that, and he decided to loan me a temporary car, Model Y, to just do what I need to do. So I had it for about 5 hours. That was the beautiful part about it. I get to do all my things while waiting for my car. So the second time I went in was for the same thing. It's something that I really did not expect it. I was a little disappointed, but this time around they decided to look in deeper a bit and see what's wrong. They lubricated and they actually tightened. So hopefully this problem doesn't come back anymore. So I wanted to install my wall charger at my sister place. However, your certified electrician will have to collect the wall charger for you, and they have to send in the request for you to collect the wall charger. However, your car needs to be the same address with where you're going to install your wall charger. But the problem is I do not own a landed property, right? I do not stay in the landed property. So how do I install the wall charger? So I decided to actually install it in my sister place. But of course, the certified electrician told me that I need to seek Tesla for approval because the address is different. So that's where I wrote it in. I wrote in to my delivery advisor, and she forwarded to her manager, and guess what? I got approval. I guess I got approval quite easily, probably because it's my sibling, or rather my sister, so we are related. I'm not sure if you choose to install it at a friend's house, you give it to your friends. I'm not sure whether they will approve for that, but at least this is what happened, and I really appreciate their service, and I think so far I am really enjoying their service and their knowledge as well. Everyone seems to know what's going on and what needs to be done when you ask a question. Now, on an interesting note about Tesla Model Y 2024 model, right? As far as I know, it affects 2023 as well. So turns out this car actually has higher capacity, bigger batteries, but the range is actually limited by the software. So when I have a full charge from this car, I have a 435 kilometer every time, okay? And the thing is that I can actually have more storage here. Of course, you can buy your long range car, which will cost you more, and you pay double the road tax, which is really ridiculous, okay? But I'm not surprised that if I have the option to actually extend the range, I'll probably have to pay for more road tax as well. So Elon Musk, a few days ago, has just tweeted saying that all the model of 2023 and 2024 onwards, or rather the Tesla that they have been producing for the last few months, were actually equipped with long range batteries. But for the standard range, is actually being limited by the software. So you have to pay extra to unlock that range, and of course subject to the government approval. So at this point of time, all these things is only happening in US. I'm not sure whether it will come to Singapore or not. Okay, it does make sense because from a manufacturing point of view, you just want to produce a same set of battery for every car, and then you actually just fix it in all the car, and then your manufacturing process is actually a lot more streamlined. Okay, but the only frustrating thing about this is that a lot of people online is actually quite frustrated, saying that, oh, why am I carrying the extra weight of the car and I don't get to use it? because it's a waste of weight, and because the heavier the car you have, of course it shortens the range of the car as well. So that is something that quite a few complain about. However, this is not the first, from what I read online, this is not the first time that Elon Musk actually does this, because he actually did it in 2018 to the Tesla Model S and X, that if you want to have a performance car range, you need to pay extra just to get the feature. Right, in 2018, apparently he did the same thing. Right, so I'm not sure whether he will do the same thing for this Model Y, and yeah, we shall wait and see, right? Because after all, if it does approve, very likely it will affect the road tax or some form of taxation. Even though we will get an extra range, I'm not sure whether it's worth it. But at this point of time, having a longer range is good, because it means that you don't have to spend so much time charging your car. All right, you actually save more time. You can be on the road longer, and you don't have to worry about charging so often as well. So that will actually helps a lot, right? So not sure it will happen, but let's wait and see. I think it will be quite an interesting one if it happens. Thank you for watching. I really hope that all this sharing will actually help you think about whether you like to buy a Tesla or not. In general, I think this is what it is, and I really enjoy this car a lot more than my previous car. And I think also because I do not have to worry about going to which petrol kiosk to pump petrol. I don't have to worry about which credit card to use to have the biggest saving and discount. That was quite a frustrating one, and because of that, I actually hold quite a few credit cards just for petrol. And now that, of course, it comes with a new problem. The next new problem is actually the number of apps, iPhone apps in your phone for charging. At this point of time, I have 9 apps that is using for charging. So there's really a lot of different company out there that they provide charging at different parking. But most of the time, I try to go for Tesla charger. Because it's green energy, and that's something that I want to maintain, and keeping this car as green as possible. Otherwise, it kind of defeats the purpose that we will always be charging electricity that is provided by the power station that is still burning coals and oil and things like that. You know, that's not very sustainable, and that's not the way to go. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you feel that you have any question, you can ask below in the comment section, and I hope that I can answer as much. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. See you. Bye. Ciao.